everybody to this episode of the Bodacity Show. I'm so excited to see you again. Well, kind of see you again. And I have two guests with me today, which is very unusual. We don't usually have partners, but this time we do because, you know, two is better than one. Sometimes two heads are better than one, my mom used to say. All right, so let me just introduce you formally, then we'll get to know you a little bit and find out more about you. As you can see, I am currently live broadcasting from Dickie's Barbecue, a family-owned business since 1941. I don't know if you can see it. So I apologize for any background noise. That's what happens when you're on the road, literally driving from Alberta to Phoenix. You got to find places to do your podcast from. So hopefully you can hear everything okay and it's not too noisy. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our two lovely guests, Carmen and Deirdre. So their business, Encore Empire, is where female business owners get the support they need to grow and scale their online business. We bring together the financial savvy of a CPA, Wave CPA, and the insights of a certified OBM, Wave certified OBM, and whole person coach to totally transform online businesses and the lives of the women who run them. We take the guesswork out of the online business and empower you to scale what you've built to achieve financial freedom and build your legacy empire through customized one-on-one coaching. Carmen Reed, I hope this is right, Gilkison?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Certified OBM and whole person certified coach, and Deirdre Harter, CPA, are business strategists and the co-founders of Encore Empire. So I love that. And we're going to talk about encores and being a maturepreneur and second chances and all of that. So welcome, ladies. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Hopefully you can see and hear me okay, because that looks paused on my end, but hopefully it's not. Okay. So welcome. And now, of course, I want to know a little bit more about you and what we wouldn't guess by reading your bio or your website. So tell us a little something about you so we can get to know you personally. So Deirdre, how about you go first?
Sure. So I am super into homesteading. I wouldn't say I would go as far as being a prepper, but I'm like definitely into self-sufficiency. And so we've had chickens and we've got, the big garden thing going on. And I'm looking at solar panels right now and even considering installing a hand pump on our well that we have on our property.
Awesome. Okay. So that's so you can be more self-reliant and prepared. Love it. Okay. And you're in Virginia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you say?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay. And how about you, Carmen?
So I live in the Portland, Oregon metro area. So we are across the country from each other.
Yes.
And I am a dog fanatic. Big time dog fanatic. Deirdre loves dogs too, but that is like I'm surprised I didn't go into business becoming a dog trainer or something, but I love them too much to turn it into a business. So that's my thing.
All right. How many dogs do you have?
Two right now. Yeah.
Or should I say, how many dogs have you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So tell me just quickly a little bit about how you guys became partners, because it's an interesting story. So how did you end up working together before we launch into our topic?
Sure. So we were both scheduled to go to a retreat. It was like a 3-day training retreat. And it ended up being turned virtual because that was right at the beginning of the pandemic. And so we met and we had these Slack tables. So rather than sitting at a physical table, they created Slack tables inside Slack. So we had our Slack mates. So we all got to know each other. And then once we were finished with that, we decided to, meet outside of it. And the whole group, dwindled quickly, but Carmen and I kept in touch with one another because she and I were both kind of at this crossroads in both of the businesses we already had. I knew I wanted to do something big with a bigger impact and I wanted to reach more people. And I wasn't exactly sure what that looked like or how I was going to do it. And she wanted the same thing. And so once we got to talking, we realized we had the same vision. We were passionate about the same things. And we really were passionate about this midlife awakening, as Carmen put it. I didn't know what to call it, but then when she said it, I'm like, yes, that's exactly what this is. It's an awakening. And so we decided to do a joint venture together by hosting a free workshop that led into a program that we had kind of sketched out And then we sold into that program and began coaching together. And from that point, it went so well that we decided to become partners.
Awesome. I love that. And by the way, I think that's brilliant. That's one of the reasons why I wanted you to share that. Whenever someone talks to me, any of my clients talk to me about partnering, I always say do a financially revenue-driven project together first, because you want to see whether or not you can A, make money together, B, work together. And there's nothing like doing something where you have to make money that's going to bring out all of the best and worst of you. So you really get to know each other, and you can find out and figure out whether or not it's going to be a really good workable relationship. And it's usually long enough. It's usually a few months in the process at the very least, especially if you're coaching together afterwards. So you can really check out, does this fit? Are we a good fit? So brilliant way to start off or kick off your partnership. And we're going to talk about that midlife awakening and how to leverage our know-how to really support our businesses. Those of you who may not be in your midlife yet, whatever that may be for you, because it, you know, for some people it's 40 plus, for some people it's 60 plus, you know, depending on what your perspective is. If you're not there yet, don't worry, listen up, because you're probably going to get some tips for you anyways. And if you're a little past that, don't worry, you might be a slow learner, so you're probably going to get some tips as well. So what is it that you would say has made you guys good partners? You've been working together for 2 years now. So what are some of the things that helped you be good partners in your business, assuming you are? And what would you say people need to look for if they're thinking about partnering with someone in their business? Because there's a lot more collaborations going on. So what would you say?
Yeah, I think that, you know, first of all, Deirdre and I were not looking for partners, and I don't know that we could have gotten so lucky if we were. We always say this is divine intervention, and we would recommend exactly what you did, which is if you find someone that you really have some synergies with and you have the same goals and passions, then do a short-term thing first. You know, I didn't want to ride Deirdre's coattails and I didn't want her riding mine. So that's kind of hard. Like, and that doesn't mean that every partnership has to be that way, but we wanted it to be 50-50. Well, you have to get to know your work ethic, your everything. And we are just so in sync. It's really phenomenal. So it's hard to find that. And the only way to do it is to really test it. What makes us such good partners is that we have the same work ethic. Like we are, I don't know, we'll get some, we finish each other's sentences. I mean, it's honestly, it just happens. And so again, I don't know that it's something that could be learned. A lot of it has to be, are you naturally suited for each other? And the only way that you'll know is to try to work together. Right. And then to make sure that you communicate. You know, I think we've had a few little bumpy areas where, you know, if I say something or she says something, or we make sure that we air that out so that there's not something lingering underneath the surface that's going to come up and explode later on. So.
Okay, well, there was 3 pieces of great advice in there. One is do the project based together. Second is really check out, just like with a marriage relationship or any long-term relationship, check out compatibilities and how you really fit together. And don't just guess, ask. What is your work ethic like? It's kind of like, you know, when a morning person marries a night person, that can be very hard to get to sync and to work well. So you want to figure out, what are your values? How do you feel about money? What's going on with you in terms of your, you know, abundance or scarcity consciousness? Where are you at with, you know, what does customer service mean to you? Things like that to find out really before you commit. And then also you said something very important in terms of, we didn't want to ride each other's coattails. And really, what does partnership look like? And what are the strengths you bring so that it can be very equitable? May not be even, may not be, you know, 50-50, might be whatever, but it's got to be equitable so that everyone feels it's fair. So that's brilliant. And what do you think is the biggest benefit of working together?
So I think one of the biggest benefits is that, you know, as solopreneurs, which we all start that way, and then a lot of us stay that way, it gets really lonely. And you're always in your head about everything. And you can go to masterminds and networking events, you can go to all the things, but at the end of the day, you know, they say it's lonely at the top, and it truly is. And most of our support network that we have around us, friends, family, most of them don't get it. They would love to, they wish they could get it and they pretend that they get it, but they really don't get it. And so having someone there who really gets it and where you are of a single mind and a single purpose and mission, it's like nothing else, because it's like you feel like, you know, you have someone right by your side walking with you. And that's actually how we came about with the mission of Encore Empire, and how we work with our clients is we say that we are their silent business partner, because we understand how powerful it is and the confidence that it brings, and the clarity that it brings by having that person walking with you.
Awesome. I love that. And what would you say? We'll get off this topic in a moment, but I just seldom have partners on, so I really want to capitalize on that while you're here. What would you say is the hardest thing or the biggest downside of working together? Be honest.
Gosh. Honestly, I don't see a downside, to tell you the truth. It is, we feed off each other. I mean, the only thing I could say is you just can't go on a whim and do something. I mean, we run everything by each other, but again, if you're well matched, then, you know, it's usually like, yeah, let's do it. Or if it's another benefit to it, I know you're asking about downside, but if I come up with a wild idea, which we both do, which we love it, and sometimes we go with them, but other times it's like, well, here's the voice of reason, here's not. So I don't know what the downside would be. I think that, you know, one thing we did in the beginning was when we did that practice or the first little event, we had an actual legal agreement. So get everything in writing. We crafted that together. So, you know, you have to do everything together. So if you are someone who wants all the glory, then a partnership might not be for you.
Right. Or all the control, because a lot of entrepreneurs are very, they're entrepreneurs because they don't necessarily play well with others. You know, many of them are unemployable and don't do well with managers and so forth. So you have to also be willing to share control, right? So that's a big part of it, which is where a lot of the communication comes in, and keeping that clean so that you don't build up resentments and so that you really can work things through. Did you put in place what if you guys just vehemently disagree? How do you decide?
Yeah, so we have, we have like the ultimate, what to do inside of our, legal agreement, right? Like if somebody wants to leave, then this is what's going to happen. So that's the ultimate thing. But we've talked about, it's really that communication that we just have to talk it out, and we have to, I suppose if we ever got to a point, we'd have to probably bring in a mediator or something, but, we mediate ourselves basically. And we're both, I think what it is the commitment to each other and to the business. The business is separate outside of us. And I think that this speaks a lot to how an entrepreneur, we like to say, think like a CEO. And one of the key factors is really understanding that your business is not you. It is a separate entity, and you have to do what is best for the business. Like that's your responsibility and your role. And so when we understand what our roles are in our business, and that business is separate, and then we are both doing what is best for the business, then I think that alleviates a lot of it, because that's the question we ask ourselves: what's best for the business?
Love that. And similarly for relationships as well. And in marriages, and people ask that, what's best for the marriage? A lot of times they get past a lot of problems too that they don't. Okay, so enough of that Shanghaiing your topic. Let's talk about these midlife awakenings. So you predominantly work with, I'm assuming, women who are 40 plus, or men as well?
Women. We focus on women who are 40 plus. Yeah.
Okay. And that, often our demographic is us. So surprisingly, my demographic is aging and getting older. I don't understand why that's happening, but why that demographic, aside from the fact that that's kind of who you understand, but why that demographic and why now?
Because we realized, so both of us were having this kind of epiphany on our own. And when we came together, this was the impetus for joining forces, is because I had hit what I call the midlife wall at that, 10 years ago or whatever. I was 50, and I woke up one day and I was like, is this all there is? And I had an excellent career, house, marriage, all this. And so immediately I felt guilty because I had nothing to complain about. But the reality was, I was tired. I was burnt out in my job. I was tired of doing everything for everybody else. Not that I don't love everybody else, but I wanted to do something for me. And I wanted to make an impact and do something that lit me up, that came from lit a fire inside. Otherwise, my other choice to me seemed like going with the status quo and just sliding through life until it's time to end up in the grave, and that just did not sound attractive to me at all. So what we realized singularly and then together was many women are going through this midlife awakening where they have done all the things and they realize now, the kids are grown. They've gone through all these changes, and now they have the time and the energy to be able to focus on them. And so a lot of our clients have been entrepreneurs for a while, and then some are starting businesses. But that was the thing. It's like, let's take your passion and make it into a profitable business. That's the best way to empower women. And that's what we wanted to do more than anything.
I love that. And very similar to my own purpose and mission and goal and work that I do. And I cannot, first of all, believe that you're anywhere near 60. That's very surprising. Oh, sorry. I have a flu. Hang on. Sorry about that. And secondly, I agree with you wholeheartedly. There's an epidemic of I have a great life, how come I'm not happy going on. I often say that our culture of too muchness is creating an epidemic of not enoughness. So that there's, the too much, the drive to be more, do more, have more, is creating this whole not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. My life's not good enough. I need to do more, have more. So it's creating a lot of dissatisfaction, which is both good and bad, as it creates opportunities. So talk a little bit about what you do while I cough.
So one of the reasons that we named our company Encore Empire is it's the encore of our career. We're taking the best of everything we've done up until this point, and we're distilling it down into the best of that. And we're using it to build our empire. Now, empire might sound lofty, but really what empire means is that it is a region that you have control over. And we all want to have that control over our own lives. So if we look at our whole life, including our business as our empire, it's all of our surroundings. And so I think women at this age, even the ones that have been in business a long time, we work with seasoned entrepreneurs, and even they are coming into this point in their life going, yes, I've run a business. Yes, I've done all that, but there's still something missing for me. And what it is, it's this want to impact, like to have a greater impact on the world, to have a greater impact, and to really lean into their passion. And maybe we kind of, we started doing the things that we learned to do in corporate, or the things that we were good at. Like for me as a CPA, like my natural tendency was to kind of just replicate my career, but as a business owner, right? So we're creating jobs for ourselves, not actual businesses. And so a lot of women are like transitioning over and pivoting into something else, but they're not sure that they can do it. They're not sure they should do it. And what we're saying is that use that experience that you have, your life experience. And even if you've never been an entrepreneur, early on, your experience in life, you had all these roles, you were managing all kinds of things, your household, your marriage, your kids, there's we can just go down the list of everything that got managed. And you've been the CEO of your life all this time. So now let's take that and let's apply those same systems and that same experience you have into your business. And let's use that to confidently move forward and create the impact you dreamed of, that maybe you were just playing a little bit too small all this time because you had all those other responsibilities.
I love it. And yeah, I see a similar trend in that I think about every 20 years, we decide who we are and reinvent ourselves. So when you're 20, okay, I'm not a kid anymore. Now I'm going out into the world, college or university or work. And when we hit 40, we have a similar kind of, okay, who am I now? Maybe I'm not a mom anymore. Maybe I'm not a, whatever. And then again, at 60, I work a lot with what I call maturepreneurs, which are the kind of 60 plus. And they're kicking ass and taking names. I work with a lot of women who are 60, 70, 80s, in their 80s. I think my oldest one right now is 87. And they are just not done. You know, I did a panel discussion called 60 Shades of Gray, hashtag done by a long shot, because we have this opportunity to say, okay, who am I now? And what am I going to do with that? So I love that you said that we have lots of experience, even if we haven't been an entrepreneur before. But, you know, I got to cut right to the chase here and say, how do you support women who get into business? And maybe, yes, they've got project management experience because they've been a mom, or they've got organizational skills because they run a household. What most of them struggle with is sales and marketing and self-promotion. So how do you work with women who are saying, okay, I want to start a business, but that whole side of it, what do you say to them, or how do you work with them?
Well, almost anybody who gets into business isn't focusing on the business of business, is what we say. And so they're following their passion. They might get certified. They might, you know, do whatever. They become a coach. They become a whatever they do. And they start making sales, right? When you make sales, you validated what's going on. So we have what we call an inside out approach, which we start with values, because just like Deirdre said, you could create a job for yourself instead of the business that you love. And that because I was a project manager who came and I did not want to keep doing what I did. And so I was like, well, how do I translate these skills into something that lights me up? And the only way to figure that out was to go inside and figure out, well, what matters most to me? What do I value? And how can I take these, you know, attention to detail, planning, forecasting, whatever these skills are, and translate them into something else. And we help our clients do the same thing. It's the inside out approach. So if they haven't ever been a business owner before, we have one gal who is a Chicago school teacher, and she's starting a business. She's been with us for a year now, and it's going great. And yeah, we teach them all of that. And so we have a very holistic program where we focus on the foundational business strategy so that they understand which strategies and tactics to use that will support their ultimate goal. Because we all hear about all the things, the fly-by-night tactics, the hot today thing to try. Those things don't work. You know, they might work for the guy who's saying it, but they're not going to work for everybody. And we don't believe in any of our clients fitting into a mold. We customize everything based on what they do. So that's how that happens in our business. Is we could have 3 consultants in the same industry, and we are approaching their businesses completely differently. It just depends on who they are. And so my whole person certified coaching, it brings in the whole person, and we don't compartmentalize where we say business is separate and then, oh, if you're having stuff happen in your family, too bad. We bring it all together so they understand how to work with life's ups and downs, parents aging, spouses dying, you know, whatever it is. And we help them work through that. And so the whole thing is holistic. And like Deirdre said, we're the guides on the side. So we are right there. We're super high touch. So they're never left alone. And that's really how we do it.
Mm-hmm. That is one of the unique parts of being a female entrepreneur, is often we have to deal with things that a lot of our male counterparts don't, because the lion's share of dealing with aging parents tends to fall to the women, to the daughters, etc. Dealing with special needs kids, or even kids in their education and so forth, lion's share goes to the women. So it's a very big challenge to juggle that with a business, with, you know, the home, etc., etc. What do you think is one of the biggest advantages that being a little older in your business brings? What is one of the, because, you know, you were talking about capitalizing on our life experiences. So what's one of the most practical ways that women who are listening right now can capitalize on their life experience wherever they're at?
So I think one of the biggest things is that we are self-aware. We are much more self-aware than our younger counterparts. And so we can do this introspection, and we're coming from a place of wisdom, really. Like, we have an inner wisdom that you can't learn it. You can't buy it. You can only live it. Right. And so when we can really dig into that, and like we said, that inside out approach, it's why we feel that's so important, is that, you know, by asking the right questions and taking that time to really understand yourself and what it is that you want, that's where we can take the shortcut. We don't have to experiment and spend 5 years only to realize, ooh, that wasn't what I wanted to do. Like we can really cut that down because of this wisdom and this inner knowing that we have and the intuition that we have developed over the years. And I think for most women, either they've already tapped into it and know it's there, or maybe they have played with it a little bit, but don't quite know how to pull it out. And that's where we help them do that so that we can use the intuition and marry that with the strategies and the systems that you need. And when you put those two things together, look out, because you can really, really make an impact and you can seriously increase your income.
Love that. And yeah, very important. And often something that's stepped over is the listening to our own wisdom and trusting ourselves. It is one of the benefits of being older. And we still don't do it enough. Because like you said, I think, Carmen, you were talking about, I call them the gurus on the top of the mountain who are selling pieces of the profit plane, but they're selling them to people who don't have a revenue runway in place yet. So if you're on your way up the mountain, don't try and build a business that works only at the top of the mountain. Build a business that fits for you at the stage you're at. And, you know, like, or the short version of that is cookie cutters are only meant for cookies, not for businesses. So you've got a gift for our people and you've got a workshop coming up. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So this is a great way for anyone who is struggling with marketing. It's called the Marketing Methodology Workshop, and attendees will walk away with the next 12 months of a marketing plan lined out for them. So it's a 5-day workshop. It's 30 to 45 minutes a day. The sessions are live and they're recorded for anyone who cannot make it live. It's very high touch. We have a learning portal where you go in and you answer the questions of the day. There's only a few of them a day. You do the work and we get rave reviews. We've got people who had no idea how to connect with their audience on an emotional level, which is what we teach. We teach people how to lead your audience to your offers, how to map that out over the course of a year. We talk about conversion events. We talk about all kinds of things. It's jam-packed. It's free, and you're invited to join us if you head over to encoreempire.com/MMW. Oh, you're on mute, Jeanette.
There we go. That's what you get for multitasking. I was just putting it into the chat and saying hi to Stephanie. She said that what did she say here? Just a second. Hello, Deirdre and Carmen and Encore Empire, and sent you some waves. So the link's there in the chat. And if you see this afterwards and you don't see the chat, then as I said, encoreempire.com/MMW. So you can go and register for that. Is that evergreen or is that a certain date and time?
We host it every 8 weeks.
Every 8 weeks, okay.
They can register anytime and they'll get in whatever the next one's coming.
Okay, awesome. That's brilliant. All right. So what are a last piece of wisdom from each of you that you want to leave our listeners with about being that kind of midlife awakened entrepreneur? What's one of the keys to success for them?
So I would say it's really surrounding yourself with other women who are in that same space and really supporting each other. I wake up every morning and my prayer is that I can be the answer to someone else's prayer that day. And I think that when this is a natural gift that women have, especially at this age, that we are always looking, we've been helping other people, but let's do it in a more strategic way. Not that it's self-serving, but it's just strategic, because those two things are not the same thing. And so when we're always looking at how can I lift other people up, it always comes back to us. We're always getting something back. And that's why, I loved meeting you, Jeanette. And, we had this great synergy, this great conversation, because we all, we are still a minority, as women and as this age and as entrepreneurs, right? We're a minority. So we really need to help and boost each other up and embrace that natural gift we have for building relationships.
Absolutely. Love it. Thank you. And how about you, Carmen?
I would add to that one of the beautiful things about aging is that we leave that clickiness behind, hopefully, if you've matured. But that's what happens. The mature mind, that's where our power is. We are now much more collaborative. So if you've been afraid, if you're watching this and you've been afraid because in the past, other women haven't been your friend. That's kind of how my thing was. I was in a male dominated industry for a long time. And I liked it that way because I didn't like all the cattiness and clickiness of other women. Well, now when you lean into that with online entrepreneurs who are the same age, it is a completely different situation. So we encourage people to do that because that's where our power lies at this age.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. I think I don't think it is the entire purpose of the Purpose and Profit Sisterhood is women do need to learn how to lift one another up, how to partner better together in terms of collaboration, co-creation, and maybe even literal partnerships like you two, and in part so that we can also partner better with men. But a big part of that is also in that we get to learn how to receive more, and then we can create more. When our cup's full, we have more to give. So beautiful wisdom. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate your stand for women stepping up and into their purpose and their power with support. So it's wonderful that there's women like you who are doing this work and supporting others in being who they're here to be the difference they're only they can be. Thank you for being here, ladies, and good luck with your workshop. Stephanie's excited. She, I think, probably already went and signed up. And thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful day and good luck with the partnership.
Thank you. Thanks for having us so much. We really appreciate it.
No problem. Great to have you. Bye for now, everybody, and have a bodacious week.
Bye.